Hey, this is Al McGee with your entertainment ticket at www.yeticket.com. The film I'm going to talk about right now is called Selma. This is by director Ava DuVernay. This is her first feature film. And she was picked by Oprah Winfrey, one of the producers and other people, to direct this film. First, when I read about her, I said, why did they choose her? But when I saw the film, they did the right thing. The screenwriter is Paul Webb. He wrote the screenplay to this. This is about the 1965 march from Selma to Montgomery, headed by Dr. King and other people. In this film, when it opens up, first thing you see is Oprah Winfrey sitting on a bench in a public building in her town. And her town was Selma. She goes up to the registrar because she wanted to register to vote. While she was there, she submitted all the correct paperwork, but then the white clerk asked her to read the preamble or deliver the preamble to the Constitution, asked her how many judges in the county. She answered the question, 67. Then he asked her to name each one of them. That's how hard it was to try to vote back then as a black person. My father's from Alabama, and for years we used to go down there, when school was out, spend 5 to 6 weeks down there. And my grandmother, she worked for white people till she died, and her oldest daughter lived with us too at the time. It was my father's mom. But for years, I never remember my aunt nor my grandmother talk about going to vote, talking about voting, and who they like to vote for. I'm from Chicago, but my mom in Chicago always expressed that we vote. And when I became legal age at 18, I never missed a day of voting. It's very important to me. But that's how they treated African Americans. Well, in the 60s, we were not African Americans. We was called Negroes back then, but that's how we were treated. So Lyndon Johnson was the president at that time. So he and King always had meetings about this issue. Because remember, this is right after the Civil Rights Act. So next is the Voting Act. Yeah, sure, we had civil rights, but we still couldn't vote in the South. Well, I mean, we African Americans or Negroes at the time. Now, Lyndon Johnson was played by Tom Wilkinson. At first, I said, him as Johnson? I kind of smirked a little bit. But then as the movie moved on, I see why he was chosen. He reminded me of Johnson. But anyway, this film really got into a lot about what happened and the people around Dr. King, what happened. Also the people around LBJ too, what happened, including J. Edgar Hoover. One thing I like about this film too, it showed the surveillance dispatches. It was typed on the screen from where FBI, they kept following and recording Dr. King, all his phone calls, and bugged his houses and hotel rooms. I mean, J. Edgar Hoover really had it out for Dr. King. Another thing I like about this film too, that Ava and the screenwriter they did not treat Dr. King as a saint. They treated him like a real human being with real human problems. They really show the man, not the saint, the man. And to me, Dr. King is about the only real human being that really walked this earth, who was really a truly real human being for everybody. I still admire the man even to this day. But they didn't treat him like that. They treated him like a human. For example, the FBI sent a tape to his wife of him making love to another woman. And you got to remember, Dr. King was a ladies' man. He had sex with many other women. And so his wife, Coretta, which is played by Carmen Ejogo, she said, and she asked him, is that you? He denied it. But then she said, I know what you sound like. And then later she asked him, did you love those other women? He told her no. So it shows here's a real human being who has some problems, but he still conquered what he had to conquer. David Oyelowo played Dr. King. He didn't play him again like a saint. He played him like a real human. Like I said, Tom Wilkinson is in this film. Tim Roth, Carmen Ejogo, Andre Young, Martin Sheen, Cuba Gooding Jr., Oprah Winfrey, Carmen, Dylan Baker, Giovanni Ribisi, Alessandro Nivola, Wendell Pierce, Nigel Thatch, Tessa Thompson, and Colman Domingo. This is a great ensemble because as I was watching this, for example, when they're on the bridge, when they got beaten and things like that, and then other people was killing other African Americans back then, it touched my heart because I lived through this and I remember this. But the film version of this is really one of the authentic pieces of film, as far as a film is made, to really get to your heart and to get to your mind and to help you to understand more how the voting rights came about and why they were important. Selma, I'm giving this an emotional 4 palm trees from me, Al McGee. They did the right job and they did it the right way.
We are your entertainment ticket, that's right. Yeticket.com. We are your